Alright guys, as you can see, we're back with one of our favorite little test vehicles on the lift here. We're out in Florence, South Carolina at 5 Star Tuning. This is Josh's personal 2020 STX Super Duty with the 7.3 liter V8, and he's got a new mod he wants to show us. So let's get underneath, check it out. Get some light up in here, and what you're looking at is one of the first sets of long tube headers for the new Ford 7.3 liter Godzilla engine. These are actually from American Racing Headers. I'm sure you guys are familiar with them. They make some very, very high quality exhaust up in New Jersey. And this is their brand new kit for the 7.3 liter Godzilla in the 2020 Super Duties. I wasn't here for the install on these, but according to the guys, they actually took it to the Ford dealership, had them do it, because, you know, with all the stuff that's going on with coronavirus, dealerships need the business, and they were busy here at 5 Star, so they said instead of them bolting it on, they'll take it and share the love with their local dealer, which is Mike Rickenbach Ford here in Florence, South Carolina. Had their shop do it. And according to them, this is a crazy, crazy simple install. As you can see, there at the top, the bolts are pretty easy to get to. It's wide open here. Like we mentioned before when we first covered this truck, this is really the tightest spot over here with the drive shaft. But you can see, you can just slide that header right up in all this space here. Same thing on this side, ton of room to work. Way better than dealing with like a GT500 or something. But this system is bolted in here, nice. Look at these welds, just fantastic quality on the welding. Good quality stainless steel. Goes back here, and they have a couple different options as far as your exhaust. They have a short option. This is what they call the longer option. The short option would be, this is from American Racing Headers, of course, basically end right here and go into your factory muffler and factory system here. We went with the longer option on this one, where it comes back into the Y and then ties back in to your factory muffler here. So it's basically if you want this section here factory or want it from American Racing Headers, they give you that option either way. But again, you can see this is super, super nice quality stainless steel tying back into the factory muffler. But these things look fantastic, and we're going to throw this truck on the dyno, tune it up, and see what kind of difference they make. So let's get this thing off the rack and get it strapped to the rollers. used to this, don't be mad. After a few baseline runs, we could see that the ARH headers were doing their job, but it was apparent that there was more left on the table. So Josh and the 5-star crew set to work with the HP Tuner software, eventually coaxing a few more ponies from the 7.3 liter ranch. They even tried running without an air filter, but that had no appreciable effect. Thing's a brick, isn't it? The end result was a very respectable 419 horsepower and 482 pound-feet of torque. That's an increase of 44 horsepower and 51 torque over the factory baseline. Compared to the earlier runs with just the 5-star 93 octane tune, the ARH headers and mid-pipes alone accounted for a consistent 20 horsepower and 20 pound-feet of torque through the meaty range of the power curve. Keep in mind that this truck is still running the factory chambered muffler. We expect that with a cam or power adder, these gains would be even greater. Alright guys, we're here with Josh from 5-Star Tuning in his blue 2020 F250 with the 7.3 liter and got some new mods.
Yes, sir.
We're going to go test out on the street. You guys have seen what it does on the dyno. So let's go for a ride.
Let's do it.
Sounds a little different.
Got a little different tone to it now.
Yeah, so for those guys who are skipping around in the video wanting to see this part of it, this truck has, of course, 5 stars, 93 octane tune in it. The tune's been tweaked just a little bit from what the average run-of-the-mill tune would be, because you have ported intake manifold and a set of American Racing long tube headers on this truck. And you can definitely tell that it has a set of headers on it.
It
sounds quite a bit different than the stock ones do. It sounds quite a bit different than the stock ones do with just a catback on it.
Exactly.
Saw one in the shop earlier today that had MBRP exhaust on it. That thing sounded really good, but this is a totally different animal.
Yes, sir.
Let's get some air conditioning going.
Exactly. You can just really feel the headers when you first get into the throttle. And then it really just carries throughout the RPM band.
So from a stock truck, the way this one sits now, what have we picked up on this thing? With tune, ported intake, which probably didn't do a whole lot.
No, I didn't do a whole lot. With the headers from 93 octane stock, we picked up about 30 foot-pounds of torque and 22 horsepower to the wheel.
It's pretty good. So right now we're sitting at 419 horsepower or something like that.
419 and 482.
Yeah, 482 torque. And the torque curve is super flat.
And it actually picked up pretty flat all the way across the RPM band from a horsepower and torque standpoint.
Yeah. So it's all under the curve power. We're not just talking about, you know, picking up 30 horsepower right at the top end. It's pretty well picking it up everywhere in the RPM range.
Very noticeable.
Even if it didn't pick up any horsepower, just the sound alone, man, it lets you know that this thing has a big V8 in it.
Oh yeah, it gives you the big block feel.
You're not going to mistake this thing for an EcoBoost truck.
You're like, what the heck is in that thing?
And do you think you're going to mess with the catback on it any? Because you're still running the factory catback exhaust, basically.
I'm sure it's gonna happen.
Yeah, sooner or later.
It's gonna happen. Just maybe a little bit much, but it may just change the tone and maybe take some of the rasp out. Yeah. Maybe give it more. We'll have to try it.
Yeah, it definitely has a raspy sound to it. You know, it probably, if you messed around with the catback a little bit, you could probably deepen that tone just a little bit.
Exactly. There may be some resonator placement here or there.
Yeah, give it a little bit of thump. You see what that was in his passes? SRT10 Ram? Yeah. One of the yellow one, quad cabs.
So as you can tell, we're running 47 miles an hour right now, and I mean, I would probably give it, what, at cruising speed, 10 to 15 more % noise?
Yeah, but it's not obtrusive. It's not droning. You know it's there, is the way I would put it. You know, you can tell it's not stock. But it's, you know, not having to raise my voice to talk to you or anything like that, so.
Yeah, I mean, I can get on the phone on the way home, and I mean, I'm heard fine. There's no issues of that caliber.
Yeah, it's definitely not like my F-150 Lightning with the exhaust on it. You know, I have long tubes on it, bullet mufflers and all that. Yeah. I drove that truck with that exhaust system without an interior in it once to get some wiring work done. I had to wear earplugs to drive the truck around. So it's nothing like that, but you know, you definitely can tell that there's some exhaust work that's been done. So how does it feel like on the bottom end just driving around versus before you had the exhaust? Because you know, you've been driving this thing around tuned since basically day one, haven't you?
Pretty much, yeah. It was tuned at, I think it had 16 miles on it.
Yeah.
So, to me, it feels a lot more free. Doesn't feel bound up.
Yeah.
And you can really feel the power curve come in pretty quick. That's the biggest takeaway from the headers that I felt from the seated pins.
You know what it really sort of sounds like? It reminds me a lot of a 454 big block I had in a Baja speedboat one time. It has that little bit of almost like water in the exhaust tone, the raspiness of it.
Well, we'll turn traction control off here, advanced track, and do a little 2000 launch and see what she does. This is a closed course.
Yeah.
So, give it just a minute
here. It really does sound like that boat.
It's crazy.
Which is a good thing. And it lets you know there's some cubic inches in this thing. I feel she wants to go. Second gear kicks good.
A little over 80 there.
Yeah.
For a fresh reflash right off the dyno.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's not bad with no transmission learning.
It sounds really good, and you know, it's not kicking those gears, but it's definitely shifting fast.
Yeah.
Without, you know, jarring your teeth loose or anything like
Exactly.
that.
It's a nice positive shift. There could probably be a little work there.
Yeah.
You know. But
I'm sure if you wanted to crank it up, I mean, it's not. I mean, at the end of the day, it's an F-250.
yeah.
You're not trying to go out and race it, so there's no point in having that shifting just slamming you if you don't have to.
Exactly.
So, but it's way better than those slow stock shifts where it's just shift the gear. No, none of that here.
It's a quick little shift and lets you know it's there.
Yeah.
Gets right back into the big torque number, which is the biggest thing, you know. And pulls really well to be a 7,000 pound vehicle.
Yeah. So would you do the exhaust again if you had to do over?
I'd definitely do it again.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like the sound.
Yeah, I think it sounds great. I would be very interested in seeing, you know, just going ahead and replacing the rest of the exhaust system to see how the tone changes. And, you know, that's going to be different with every different exhaust combination you can put on this thing. No two things are going to sound the same. But I think that's a pretty good seal of approval if you would do it again.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what modification are you looking for next that you want to move to the next level on this thing?
Definitely cold air intake.
And there's just nothing out there right at the moment, is there?
Nothing so far. So, I mean, ideally, you know, as everybody already knows, a cam would be huge.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens there. After that, you know, that's pretty much it from an NA standpoint until we can go boost.
Yeah. So probably the next part out is probably going to be a cold air intake, just because, you know, the big guys, S&B, K&N, AFE, all those guys are probably working on something right now for this. You know, there's a possibility that it looks like an airbox for a diesel is the same as these, so they might only need to make the intake tube for the 7.3 to work and just use the companies that are already making diesel airboxes.
But if you notice S&B on the 6.7 diesels, they actually, on the 16, 17, 18, 19 diesels, or 17, 18, 19 diesels, they do a battery relocation cold air intake already.
Yeah.
Well, this battery is already relocated to the back, so S&B probably is pretty close.
Yeah. And they make a good quality kit. So.
Hey.
I mean, their stuff is so good that a lot of other cold air intake companies buy parts from them for their kits. So.
Exactly. Their filters are used in a lot of kits.
Oh, yeah.
You know, JLT, for example.
Yep.
You know,
buys their stuff from S&B. So that's a pretty good vote of confidence.
Exactly. Hey, if he had a really nice one for the 6.2, the Momentum closed box with the air scoop. So I'm curious to see how far they get. It's just like, it's the same, it would be the same box pretty much. So I don't think it'll be too much longer. I would hope not.
Yeah. It'd be nice if that picked up another, you know, 5 to 10 horsepower. Not sure how much will be there. I would say there's going to be at least 5 horsepower in the intake, just from what you're seeing playing around on the dyno, taking the filter out.
Yeah, when you pull that piece of cardboard out, or people call it a filter too, you can actually hear the motor, you know, wanting
just
that air,
drawing in air. Yeah. So that's pretty much it, guys. See if you like the way this thing sounds. Maybe you want to pick up a set of American Racing headers for yours, as always. I think it sounds good. And always, you can hit up 5-star and get a tune for it. So, see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.
You know what my takeaway is?
What's that?
Thing needs a cam now.
Yes, sir.